So I just finished the trip of a lifetime and these are my reflections. So it all started in Spain where I was just wrapping up a 3-month incredible trip in Barcelona. So this is where it all begins. I'm currently in Madrid and I'm about to start my big travel to Brazil with the goal of surprising mum. But for now I've got a full day in Madrid and then I've got a 10-hour bus to Lisbon and then I've got a 11-hour flight to Sao Paulo and then I've got a 2-hour drive to mum's house and I have no idea if she's actually going to be there, but let's go. Brazil, I'm in Lisbon, 5 AM. Bus arrived an hour early and my flight has been delayed by an hour, so now I have 5 hours. Now, surprising my family after a trip is something that I've always wanted to do. And as I made my way to Brazil, I realized that not only have I not seen my mum in almost a year, but also I haven't been back to the motherland in 6 years. So at this point, my mum has been living in Brazil for 4 years in a new house which I've never seen before. So after a lot of uncertainty, trying to find the house in the dark and actually turning out to the wrong house to start with, I finally found the right place. Get in, baby. Surprise! Oh my god! Oh my god, how did you get here? Oh. Just absolutely wholesome. That couldn't have gone better if I had tried, and that's a memory that I'm going to hold on to forever. So the next few days were just spent exploring my mum's house, getting my bearings in Brazil, and most importantly, spending some quality time with not only my mum, but my Brazilian family as well. Me and mum even managed to take a little weekend trip to the mountains where we did a little bit of exploring, a little bit of hiking, making fires outside, and actually I managed to capture one of the most incredible photos I've ever taken in my life. Another really nice memory and photo for the bank. And now we move on to the next part of the Brazil trip, and the main reason why everyone was coming through was because my brother was getting married. Get fucking married. Yeah.
See you there!
Yes, today is the day. Today is finally the day that we are going to the wedding venue. We're gonna meet up with Kyle, gonna meet up with Nicole, gonna meet up with the whole gang. The weather today is not ideal. Pretty grey, it's pretty cold, and it's gonna rain this weekend, so let's hope that gets better. Yes. Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys? Good, man. Good to see you. Now, words cannot describe how incredibly magical and beautiful this whole weekend was. All the friends, all the family showed up, brought the vibes, and my brother and his now wife absolutely killed all the planning and execution on this. Now, disclaimer, this is obviously a very personal event and I'm being very selective with what I'm choosing to show and say here, but just know that this weekend was truly epic, to say the least. Bless vlog. Yesterday was so good. From beginning to end, it was just like incredible. Kyle and Nicole smashed it.
Best day of my life. Like, literally. Best day of my fucking life.
Bloody hell. We haven't been drinking enough. Look at that. Football time. Football time. Bless.
Go!
Now, moving on from the wedding, myself, my brother, his wife, and 18 other friends continued the trip and went on our way to none other than big boy Rio. Party bus! Leg break. Jesus loves you. We just arrived in the house in Rio and look at this gaff. Now, this place was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, a penthouse apartment in the center of Rio with a hot tub. Come on. Master, sweet master,
We've just arrived in Rio de Janeiro, and this is my fucking suite.
Sweet looking. And to be completely honest with you, the next 3 days were just filled with drinking and partying and making the most of that penthouse lifestyle.
He's the rap in the bathtub, baby. In the bathtub.
If you haven't been to Rio before, I cannot recommend this place enough. There's a reason why it's one of the most well-known cities in the world.
Caipirinhas on the beach.
Caipirinhas on the beach. Jai on the beach.
Oh, hi.
Jealous on the beach. The landscape alone in this city is just incredible. We're hiking up to Christ the Redeemer. I'm sweating. I'm tired. But I'm leading the pack.
We did that.
We did that. And obviously you've got a lot of sightseeing to do, hiking, beaches, partying, pretty much anything you want. And as I'm sure you know, Rio gets a pretty bad reputation because of danger. But in my humble opinion, this is definitely a city which just cannot be missed. Now, a very messy few days later, and the gang moves on yet again, but this time we lost a few members, but nevertheless, we continue the journey to Barra Grande. Now, the journey to Barra Grande was not an easy one, to say the least, but it was definitely worth it. So everything starts pretty good. Although we were only running on 3 hours of sleep from the party the night before, we all managed to leave the Airbnb and get to the airport on time to make our flight. Now, this is flight 1 of 2 connecting in Sao Paulo, and the problems begin when we change flights. So to start with, our flight was actually delayed, but only by 1 hour, which was fine. Eventually we make it onto the flight, and everyone is just super excited to pass out and get some sleep. But we end up being sat on the tarmac for over an hour, even though the doors had already closed. Eventually the flight crew make an announcement and they tell us that there's a problem with the plane and that the flight's been cancelled. And obviously at first we're all thinking this is a nightmare, how are we going to get there, where are we going to stay, all of this stuff. But then the flight crew makes a second announcement and they say there's another plane which we can all move to. So everybody scuttles off the plane and we move on to the next one, and finally it's time to relax. And all I'm thinking is that we just escaped a final destination type moment, and it's a good thing that that plane didn't take off because it was broken. But the shenanigans continue. Now the flight is going smooth. I've got a window seat, I've got an empty seat next to me. I'm good. The pilot then makes his announcement that we're starting our descent, and at this point I'm excited. We are almost there. I am scared in this moment. Now, I take a lot of flights, and this was the first time that I genuinely thought we were going to crash. Not to mention that 3 days before, there was a plane crash in Brazil, so this idea of the plane just falling out of the sky was very much at the front of my mind. So I'm looking out the window, and as we're going through the clouds, there's some pretty heavy turbulence, but nothing I haven't experienced before. As we come out of the bottom of the clouds, I look out the window and I can see the ground. So we're about 100 meters off the ground at this point, like basically ready to land. Then all I'm hearing is the engines kicking back in at full force. Everyone gets thrown back in their seats. People screaming, people confused. Like, obviously this isn't a normal situation. Everyone is pretty shook, apart from Jai, for some reason, who's right at the front of the plane and just completely focused on his Nintendo Switch. We just survived the plane crash, basically, didn't we? Like, that's what it feels like. And then the lights go out. Right now, I am nervous because I read that when they turn the lights off in the cabin, it means they're preparing for an emergency landing. So we're circling around the airport for a while. Eventually the pilot gets the go-ahead to try and land again, and everyone is on edge. People holding hands, people gripping onto the seat in front of them. Like, no one is easy right now. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't think any of us will ever be happy to get off the plane.
Again, apart from Jai, who has no idea what's going on somehow.
I noticed it happening, but I wasn't even 1% worried.
But after a very, very rough landing, the pilot did great and everything was fine. Terrifying. That was terrifying. So we get off the plane, and then the next part of the journey continues, which is a 4-hour drive on a dirt road from Ilhéus Airport all the way to Barra Grande. The problem here is that the roads are made of dirt and we're in the middle of a massive rainstorm, hence the problems with landing the plane. So the next 4 hours was nothing but heavy rain, potholes, mud, and not having a clue where we are in the world because it's pitch black and there's no streetlights, of course. But nevertheless, we arrive at our house, we crack open a beer, we reminisce on what the fuck just happened, and the next day we wake up in relief because the sun is out, the sky is blue, and the place is beautiful.